information came direct from Meghan's ex-husband, Trevor Engelson, via an intermediary. And obviously Trevor Engelson is a very successful TV producer. He now has his own family. He's very happy.
He's moved on. He has put Meghan behind him. He probably is not interested in people bringing up his past relationship. He has 3 children now.
Meghan telling the world about their baby girl, Lilibet Diana, named for 2 influential.
About getting away from the UK press, because the press is, is everywhere, or was a move because you weren't getting enough support from the firm?
It was both.
Both.
I need to do this for my family. This is not a surprise to anybody. It's really sad that it's got me.
Okay, let's talk tea. Real tea. Before the glitz, the glam, the royal titles, the multi-million-dollar Netflix deals, before she was Her Royal Highness, Meghan Markle was just another hopeful in Hollywood. Yep, just Meghan. Not Meghan the Duchess, not Meghan the brand, just a girl with a dream, walking into auditions, smiling through rejections, praying her phone would ring. She was charming, no one denies that. She had hustle too, but let's not kid ourselves. Some say she had a plan from the start. Enter Trevor Engelson. No, he's not some bitter ex trying to stay relevant. Trevor was the real deal, a Hollywood producer with legit connections. When Meghan met him in the early 2000s, sparks flew. She was still finding her way, while Trevor was already someone in the industry. He believed in her. And just like that, they became a team. For 6 years, it was love, loyalty, long-distance phone calls at weird hours. In 2011, they said, "I do." And from the outside, it looked like something straight out of a romantic comedy, a fairy tale, 2 creatives in love, chasing their dreams, growing together. But behind closed doors, oh honey, there was a storm quietly building. Trevor? Fully in. He was the guy flying back and forth to Toronto while Meghan was filming Suits. He sent care packages. He even considered moving his entire life just to be closer to her. And Meghan, she began pulling away. No fights, no scandal, just a slow, cold drift. The kind of silence that feels intentional. And then, brace yourself, she ends it by mailing her wedding ring. Yep, no call, no tearful goodbye, no explanation, just the package, the ring, boom. Closure, Meghan style, quiet but cruel. And just like that, Trevor was erased, gone, like he was never part of the story. Now fast forward to today, Trevor's done being quiet. For years, he's kept his lips sealed. No messy interviews, no podcast sob stories. But now, he's finally ready to spill. Not for drama, okay, maybe a little drama, but mostly to share his truth. Alice, okay, nobody on here, Mom. And babe, it's juicy. Let's rewind real quick. After Meghan mailed that ring, yes, mailed it, Trevor was devastated. Not just heartbroken, but confused. See, during their marriage, Meghan told him something incredibly personal. She said she couldn't have kids. Imagine hearing that from the person you're building a life with. That's huge, right? And Trevor, he loved her. He accepted it. He adjusted his whole future around that one heartbreaking reality. No children. But then, out of nowhere, Meghan pops up on magazine covers, pregnant with Prince Harry's baby twice. That's when Trevor's world really shattered. And no, he didn't run to the press screaming. He kept it classy. But behind closed doors, he talked to friends. What he shared, it didn't exactly match the polished image of the kind, humanitarian Duchess everyone saw on TV. He wasn't angry that she moved on. He could deal with that. It was how she moved on and what she didn't tell him, because if the whole "I can't have kids" thing wasn't true, then what else wasn't? People around Meghan claim, and fair enough, that medical things change. Sure, that's possible. But Trevor's pain, it wasn't about biology. It was about honesty, trust. He built a future on something she told him, and now he's wondering if she ever really meant it. And, oh, don't even get us started on how fast Meghan bounced back. Trevor was still picking up the pieces when she was rubbing elbows with Hollywood elite, rising up the social ladder like she was on an escalator. And let's be real, those closest to Trevor saw it coming. When Meghan's name popped up next to Prince Harry's in the headlines, Trevor didn't flinch. He'd seen her climb before, from walk-on roles to starring in Suits to becoming besties with powerful people. He used to joke, Meghan doesn't climb ladders, she skips rungs. And the last rung? The freaking British monarchy. But it's not about jealousy. Trevor wasn't mad she found fame. He was hurt by the pattern because, according to him and others who knew her before Buckingham Palace, Meghan had a habit of becoming exactly what someone wanted until she didn't need to anymore. Then, poof. On to the next. Trevor remembers the Meghan who cried after auditions, who doubted herself, who felt like she didn't belong. That was the woman he fell in love with. And when he watched her become the poised, press-trained Duchess, it didn't look like growth. It looked like erasure. He built a life around her not being able to have children, so when she did and with someone else, it wasn't about motherhood, it was about betrayal. And honey, Trevor's not the only one raising an eyebrow. Hollywood? They're whispering too. People who knew both Trevor and Meghan say the same thing. She didn't just move on, she deleted the people from her past. One producer said it best, Meghan was always 5 steps ahead. Not in a cute way, in a chess game kind of way. If you didn't fit the next chapter, you were cut. And no, that doesn't make her evil, but it makes people wonder. And when someone like Trevor, who never sold his story, who stayed silent all this time, finally starts talking, people listen. Because this isn't about revenge, it's about truth. And his truth is messy, raw, and full of heartbreak.
Well, I always thought she was ridiculous.
Seconds. I mean, how could she tell this stuff and get away with it?
She will find a way to bounce past him to some other taker who might actually just love the guy. She will take her royal kids who can still go by prince and princess and find the billionaire.
I look at Meghan Markle and I'm like, this is a bad idea. Why? How did you fall for that? This chick's from LA. She's a failed actress. She's clearly acting out of bad intent. She wants to destroy things she didn't build. And I just never understood why anyone, I mean, I thought she was like a ridiculous narcissist from the first words I heard emerge from her mouth. Like, it never occurred to me.
All right, buckle up, because just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, boom. Enter the surrogate bombshell. Now listen, Meghan has had her fair share of headlines, from Tiara tantrums to sister feuds. She's been dragged through every kind of royal rumor mill. But this was something else entirely. Just 1 week before Trevor started finally letting his truth trickle out, a woman came forward, a 23-year-old woman. And what she claimed? Oh, baby, it's wild. She says, wait for it, she was Meghan and Harry's surrogate. Yes, seriously, not clout chasing, not pitching a memoir, not looking for a spot on Love Island. She says she was paid to carry their child and then told to disappear. But let that sit for a second. According to her, this wasn't some hush-hush under-the-table arrangement. Nope, it was a full-blown legal setup. We're talking contracts, confidentiality clauses, stacks of cash, legal protection, the whole shady business package. And for years, she stayed quiet, but now she says she feels used, like a pawn in some secret royal chess match, a pawn who wasn't supposed to speak, but decided to blow the whole thing open. And here's where it gets weirder. Meghan and Harry haven't said a single fucking word. No denial, no statement, no PR spin, not even a no comment, just radio silence. And if you know Meghan, even just a little, you know that's off. She's all about controlling the narrative. Lawsuits, interviews, legal threats, carefully curated responses. But here, crickets. So people started asking, what's she trying not to say? Let's be honest, using a surrogate isn't a scandal. In 2025, that's not even a big deal. Tons of celebs do it, and the world totally accepting of it. The problem is the alleged cover-up, the hush money, the disappearing surrogate. That's where the alarms go off. There's even a theory floating around, one that's creepy as hell, that the baby might have been born earlier than they said. Why? So they could separate the surrogate before anyone asked questions. I mean, yikes. Nothing's confirmed, but the fact that people even believe it, that says a lot about how messy, murky, and mysterious this whole thing has become. And when you zoom out and look at Meghan's public image, girl, it's all too perfect. Meghan is a master of presentation. Her clothes, her speeches, her interviews, nothing is accidental. Not one strand of hair is out of place. She didn't just walk away from the royal family, she staged a full-blown rebrand. From aspiring actress to royal rebel to global humanitarian. And then this surrogate story hits the web. And what does the internet say? Yeah, that kind of checks out. Not shock, not outrage, just confirmation of what people have been side-eyeing for years. Because here's the thing, critics have been whispering forever that Meghan values control over everything, including the truth. So when this story dropped, it didn't feel far-fetched. It felt like the puzzle piece that finally fit. And what kicked this theory into overdrive? A single line on Archie's birth certificate. Let's go there. In the UK, birth certificates are strict, boring, but important. Both parents' full legal names are required. No fluff, no frills. But when Archie's birth certificate came out, Meghan didn't list her full name, Rachel Meghan Markle. Instead, just Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. Excuse me, what? Kate didn't do that. Diana didn't. Queen Elizabeth wouldn't dare. But Meghan, her full name was scrubbed. It looked like a branding move at first. But then, get this, just 11 days after Archie was born, someone filed an official correction. Not a typo, a correction. That means someone, either Meghan or someone in the palace, looked at the original and said, yeah, this isn't right, and changed it. Quietly. And just like that, what should have been a simple legal form became a smoking gun. Why erase your name from your own child's birth record? The royal gossip world lost its mind. Theories exploded, and things only got darker.
His newly obtained birth certificate, it shows Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor arrived May 6th. Not at their new home Frogmore Cottage like many had expected, but rather at a London hospital.
Even though Meghan had let it be known she wanted a home birth, it was probably very realistic that her first child at 37, it was going to be born in hospital.
Now let's talk baby number two, little Lilibet Diana. She was born in California, right? That's what they told us, but then, bam! Documents started surfacing that pointed to Colorado. Why does that matter? Because Colorado has much looser surrogacy laws, less red tape, more privacy, way easier to keep things hidden. Suspicious? You tell me. And then the cherry on top, Lilibet's birth certificate didn't list Harry's legal name. Instead of Henry Charles Albert David, which is his real name, it said His Royal Highness, the Duke of Sussex. Okay. What? That might fly in the UK, but in the US, titles mean nothing. You try walking into a DMV and telling them you're a duke, they'll hand you a waiting number and tell you to sit down. So the fact that Harry's actual legal name wasn't there, that could mean he's not even legally recognized as the father in US documents. Meghan, who knows her way around a legal contract better than most lawyers, let that slide? Come on. This isn't just about a missing name, it's about control. Meghan is meticulous. If that name was left off, some believe it wasn't an oversight, it was intentional. And that's when things turned even creepier. People started noticing something strange, subtle, maybe even innocent at first. Meghan seemed more emotionally attached to Lilibet than to Archie. In interviews, when she talked about Lilibet, her voice would soften. She'd get emotional, even teary, protective. But when she talked about Archie, it felt colder, like a casual reference in a longer speech. Some people dismissed it as overanalyzing, but then came the whispers. What if Archie wasn't just born differently? What if he wasn't even biologically related? The theory? That Lilibet was created using Meghan's egg and a donor's sperm, meaning she was still biologically hers, but Archie? The rumor suggests something else entirely. And that's when fans and critics started digging deeper. Because if Meghan really is that obsessed with curating her image, with being in control of every detail, wouldn't biology matter too? It's speculation, yes, but this isn't just coming from TikTok trolls. These questions are bubbling up in Hollywood in royal circles from people who used to know Meghan personally. And at the center of it all, that quiet, steady figure from Meghan's past, Trevor Engelson. Because after hearing all this madness, from alleged surrogates to shady paperwork, suddenly, Trevor's pain doesn't seem so irrational. This wasn't just a guy with a broken heart. This was a man who built his world around someone he trusted, someone who told him, I can't have children, and he believed her. He didn't just believe her, he loved her through it. And now, he's left questioning if any of it was real. Let's bring it back to Trevor one more time. Because now that all the chaos has surfaced, the lies, the whispers, the hush-hush surrogate bombshells, his story suddenly hits harder, doesn't it? This wasn't just a man Meghan dated before she made it. Trevor Engelson was her beginning. The one who knew her before the cameras, the tiaras, the global headlines. And what makes it all so haunting is that their story didn't end with a big fight, a betrayal, or some tabloid disaster. It ended with a package in the mail. A wedding ring. No explanation, just done. Trevor never dragged her name, he never clung to her fame, He never even gave interviews. He just disappeared into the background. Quiet, dignified, heartbroken, and let's not forget, Trevor loved Meghan. He saw her when she wasn't Her Royal Highness. When she was just a girl juggling waitressing jobs, auditioning for roles that barely had lines, he supported her through it all, financially, emotionally, even professionally. She was still figuring herself out, and he was there, always. So when she landed Suits and moved to Toronto, guess who was flying in and out to keep the spark alive? Trevor. And yet, when Meghan decided she was done, she was done. Even at their wedding in Jamaica in 2011, just 2 years before the quiet collapse, some guests noticed something off. Trevor was fully present, full of love, but Meghan? One insider said she seemed distracted, like her mind was already drifting towards something else, maybe someone else, maybe somewhere bigger. And let's be honest, after the divorce, her trajectory didn't slow down. It accelerated. Within what felt like minutes, Meghan was moving in new circles, high society dinners, hollowing her way toward the upper echelons of elite society. It's like she hit fast forward on her own life, and the people who once meant something quietly cut out. Trevor didn't sell his story. He didn't go running to tabloids. He didn't write a tell-all or throw shade on social media. He even had a chance to turn his story into a comedy, a show about a man whose ex marries a prince. But it never aired. Why? Because despite everything, Trevor kept his dignity. But when someone that quiet finally starts to speak, even in hushed tones to trusted friends, oh, people listen. He wasn't bitter. He wasn't trashing Meghan. He was just telling the truth. And that's what made his voice louder than any tabloid headline, because for Trevor, this wasn't about fame. He already had what Meghan always seemed to chase: credibility. So, who is Trevor Engelson? Let's zoom in. Born in Great Neck, Long Island, just outside New York City, not a silver spoon kid, not Hollywood royalty, Trevor built his world from scratch. He studied journalism at USC, then switched gears into film and TV production. And he grinded. Started from the bottom, worked as a production assistant, climbed his way up, and eventually launched his own company. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't loud, he was smart, strategic, trusted. By the early 2000s, he was respected in the industry. And that's right around when Meghan came into the picture. They met through mutual industry friends. Classic Hollywood. She was hungry, ambitious, full of spark. He saw something in her. And for a long time, they were solid. Trevor supported Meghan during the years when nothing was guaranteed. He cheered her on when auditions flopped. He held her through breakdowns. He encouraged her when her dreams felt out of reach. But as her star rose, his place beside her dimmed. By the time she met Prince Harry, Trevor had been long erased from the story. But those who were there, they remember. They remember the woman with insecurities, real tears, a rawness she no longer lets the world see. And maybe that's what hurts the most for Trevor. He didn't fall in love with Meghan the Duchess. He fell in love with Meghan the human. The woman who laughed too loudly, who cried when she bombed an audition, who used to worry she wasn't enough, and when she walked away from that version of herself, she walked away from him too. Fast forward to today, Trevor's remarried to a woman named Tracy Kurland, a dietitian and the daughter of a multi-millionaire banker. The irony? He didn't marry into royalty, but he did end up in a life of comfort, stability, and peace. Far from the spotlight, far from the palace drama, far from Meghan. He's still working in Hollywood, still respected, still doing his thing, and yet Meghan's shadow still looms. Not because he can't let go, but because no one else can stop talking about her. And now, finally, he's talked too, and when he did, it wasn't with venom, it was with truth. The quiet kind that makes you sit back and think, wow, he really loved her. And maybe that's what this whole thing comes down to. Not who's right or who's wrong, not royal titles, conspiracy theories, or birth certificates, but the simple heartbreak of someone who believed they were building a life with someone only to discover they were just a chapter in her story. And that hurts deeper than any headline. Because while Meghan went from Hollywood hopeful to Duchess to global icon, Trevor was left holding the pieces of a life they planned together. And now, he's letting go, but not before telling the world in his own quiet way, she wasn't who you think she was, not to me. And now, it's your turn. What do you think? Was Trevor finally justified in speaking up after all these years? Did Meghan leave behind more than just Hollywood when she became royalty? Drop your thoughts below. Let's talk about it. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you want more deep dives just like this. Because trust us, this story, we're only scratching the surface.